Little nervous. I'm Rebecca. My name is Rebecca. I'm an alcoholic, and it is a huge pleasure and privilege to be here with you guys. Um, Thanks, David, I think. Ask me after, um, for asking me to share. I'm not sure how long I'm meant to talk. Um,
Up to the hour.
okay, okay, fine. Um, I am very grateful to have a sobriety date of May 17, 2004. And I am in Bermuda, and I've been here most of my life. And I have a home group and sponsor. I'm kind of temporarily being sponsored now. I had a sponsor who travels a lot now since the pandemic. She's older. She goes on cruises an awful lot. So I got somebody else who was in New Jersey, and that was fine for a while, but it's quite hard to do long distance. So I now have someone in Texas, which is even further away. But Texas seems to know what they're doing. So I'm pretty happy there. And yeah, I met David at the Big Book Solution Group with all those fine folk over there. And I've just been having the greatest time being sober. I mean, it's not always great. Obviously, you all know that, but I mean, I just can't believe my life sometimes. So I don't have like any shocking story or anything. I'm just a garden variety drunk. Um, but I kind of feel like I'm building the plane while I fly it all the time. That's kind of my sobriety. I have a lot of children, four. I have three boys and a daughter, and two dogs and they're all ADHD, even the dogs, I'm sure. And I still have two boys at home, so it's a pretty busy life. Um, so yeah, I guess just briefly, I was born here, and Bermuda's pretty small. It's a little island, just kind of about 700 miles away from North or South Carolina, something like that. And there's about 60,000 people here. And our definition of Bermuda is 60,000 alcoholics clinging to a rock. Apparently, drinking here it's like so natural. We have this really delicious rum that we have here. It's called Black Seal, and now they've actually been marketing it along the East Coast or whatever. So God help us. And it's super strong and very sweet. And we kind of pride ourselves in that's what we cut our teeth on, that's just the culture here. It's very permissive about drinking. We don't go very fast in our cars. So in the past, it's been pretty permissive about drinking and driving. Lately, though, in the last, I would say 15 years, it's definitely cracked down. But so I grew up here and my parents are from England. So they're very British and not super into feelings, which worked for me. And I guess I was just a kid, like uncomfortable from the start. And I wasn't just uncomfortable, but I was always trying to make myself comfortable through whatever means I could. And that's only in hindsight, really. But I wasn't comfortable um, in public, in groups. I didn't speak for a long time. I think I didn't really speak properly until I was about 4.5 or 5. My mom did all my talking for me, or my friend, who I made a friend at school, and she did all the talking for me. And so that was kind of how I coped. I depended on outside help from the beginning. I needed people to do things for me. I was super shy, and but at home, according to my mother, I never shut up. And so there wasn't a lot of like, I was like two different people. I was like one person at home and one person out of the house. So anyway, I just grew up feeling just a little out of place. Just like little things, like I'd show up to like the party and all the girls would be wearing bikinis and I'd have one piece, and that would be like devastating. or I'd um, be not invited to the birthday party, and that would be devastating, or I would not go to the field trip because I didn't know I had a permission slip that I was supposed to sign or have my parents sign, and I had to stay at school. So I was like alone. I felt like I was like isolated a lot, and I took these things very much to heart. Um, anyway, that was just me, I guess, kind of introverted, a little bit oversensitive, or whatever. And maybe there's some learning stuff in there. I certainly have that in my family. My children certainly are like uh, it's sort of like we're shot through with it, just this whatever diagnosis they all do this to the kids these days. I didn't get anything. I'm, say 3 years old, so we didn't really get diagnosed with anything back then. So anyway, I am, I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be a part of things. I wanted to be able to speak. I just couldn't. And I wanted to show up at parties and be invited, and I wanted to remember things and be good at school. I just couldn't make it work. And so I got to sort of 12, 13, 14, and it was very normal to like have a drink at your parents' party if they had a drink. And there were a lot of parties. My dad was a pretty good runner. And so we were like members of this club where everybody ran. And so there was a lot of running events and parties and things like that. And there was a lot of beer. I never took to beer, but they would like pass whatever, have beers there. And I would always just take one. I don't know why. I didn't really want one. I just would take one and have a little beer. But it didn't do anything. So, but anyway, later on, I guess my parents split up for a little bit. So I had a lot of like not no supervision, or light, let's say supervision light. And so my friend and I, her family had an apartment underneath their house, and their tenant moved out, and she had found some cigarettes in there. So she took the cigarettes, and we went and hid in a bush in the park, like laughing hysterically, and smoked the cigarettes as you do when you're like 13. And then we found that we got I don't remember when we got the first one, but somehow we discovered this $3 wine that you could buy at this place called Dismont's, which nobody carded anybody because it's Bermuda and nobody cared. And it was $3. It was Boone's Farm, Strawberry Fields, and then it was Night Train. And we would take it and we would sit in the park, which was like the best time, and just sit out in the dusk watching, like just in the trees with the light fading, and drinking this disgusting wine, which we thought was delicious, and just having the best time. And that's when I realized that's when I kind of had this kind of like epiphany that I was really enjoying this. I was having a lot of fun, we invited people, and they came, and we had fun together, and I could talk to them, and they could talk to me, and they would tell me things about myself that they had noticed, and I didn't even know. I thought I was invisible the whole time, and I didn't even know. And I was just so like taken aback, and I was like, wow, I can actually, speak and whatever. And that was like amazing. And I was convinced that I was going to do that forever. I was like, this is like magic. I'm going to do this forever. And and I was so excited because I'd found this solution. I'd found the solution to all everything that was like pissing me off or bothering me or making me feel small and inadequate or whatever. And it was just the greatest thing. It was the greatest thing. So we did that for a while, and I just remember I was too young to be like drinking in public, and but I would plan it. And I remember we would talk about, and it was never like, we were 14, 15 years old. Where should we go to have a drink tonight? It would be like, where are we going to get wasted? And how are we going to do this? And it would be a plan. And we'd start like Monday, and we'd be discussing it. And then I was like, it's the anticipation of it all, just like couldn't wait, because I knew it was just going to be so much fun. We're going to be outside. How are we going to get it? Where are we going to get, who's going to get it for us? We never needed anybody to buy it for us because it was only $3. And I just used to take change out of like my mom's like purse. I would take it, and I didn't think anything of that. It didn't occur to me that that wasn't nice. I just took it because I was like, I need it. I need this. So that's what happened, and that's what we did. And then eventually we graduated to going to bars, and then we did really couldn't afford the drinks, so we had to make friends with boys, so they would buy us the drinks. And that was like a whole song and dance because you'd have to like be very manipulative and get the drinks and then disappear. So you didn't actually have to do anything to like earn the drinks. Really, really nice, Girl Scout behavior there. So that went on for a while, and my high school experience was kind of a blur. I was very antisocial. I wore a lot of black. I dyed my hair black. Nobody wanted to be around me. I only listened to like rock and roll and like hair bands. And everybody here listens to island music, reggae, soca, that kind of thing. So it was like two, three of us in this group who listened to this kind of. So we were just different. We felt different, and we were also making ourselves different. And it was like a badge of honor. So, and at the same time as that, I graduated from that school, and I had 1 year to do before I went away to college. And I could either do it at the college here, which a lot of my friends did, or I could do like a postgraduate year at this high school. So I went to the college, and I was completely overwhelmed and lost. And so my dad said, if you get the right grades, you can go to this school for a year. So I went to this school for a year, and it was like a completely different experience than I'd ever encountered. It was like really nice teachers. They treated you like an adult. And I mean, we were 17 by this time, and I made some really nice friends. I just remember being like two people. Like I was this person with these friends who I'd have forever, and we would drink and we would do stupid things and we would get up to mischief and lie to our parents and take money. And then I was at this other school where the kids were really nice, and they were having parties where they would all get dressed nicely, and they would have like they didn't really drink, and they would play games like and cards and things like that. And I was like, I was so torn because I had a really nice time with these kids, but then these kids over here, this is what I was used to. And it was like I was at this crossroad, and I just couldn't. I wanted to go there with those kids. I wanted to stay, but these kids, these are my people. These are the ones who've been with me through it all, and I just couldn't. And so that it was like this like moment in my life where like light came on, and it was like, no, back to this. And it's interesting. There's a few like moments in my life where that happens, where it's like offered to me. There's this choice that's offered to me, and I didn't see it for what it was. And I always went back to to the dark part. So then I got into college. I was a disaster. I couldn't handle the freedom, and I drank way too much. And I slept during the day, and I was up all night. And there was other sort of things going on in college, like organic materials and things that people wanted to share. And so I tried a few of those. They made me really paranoid. So I was like, my baby is drinking. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I do. And, I wanted to do well, and I wanted to go to class. I just couldn't seem to get there. And I wanted to, did a lot of sports, and I went to the gym a lot, and I wanted to play basketball. I could see these guys, they were really good. We had a great team, and I wanted to play, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't. I don't know why. I just couldn't get myself to do it. I couldn't talk about it. I couldn't ask anybody about it. I just was like, no, but we're going to do this tonight. We're going to drink. And that was just it. That was my whole college life. And I dropped out because I couldn't cope with the pressure of sobriety and having to get grades. So I came home, and I got a job as in a nightclub, which was very fitting because you get your drinks for free and you work, and that suited me fine. And then I guess there was a few moments of like extreme selfishness that I can think of, which I didn't really know that's what I was at the time. My friend's brother, we were going out on a Friday night, and my friend's brother worked as a painter. He was like in college, so in the summer he worked as a painter, and he fell off his ladder and he hit his head. And their parents were away, So we had to go to the hospital to meet him, and he was lying in a gurney in the hallway with like blood coming out of his ear and waiting to see the doctor. And I looked at her and she looked at me, and I was like, it's Friday night. What are we going to do? Like, we can't stay here. This is the hospital. So we were like, bye. I don't even think we said goodbye. I don't remember that part. And we just left. And I just couldn't, I couldn't physically, emotionally, spiritually, couldn't not leave and go drink. I could not, the thought of not going where I needed to go to get what I needed to get was so uncomfortable and painful. It was like I was being like just being there, like cutting into the time that I should be drinking was just like, it was like a physical reaction. There was just, I don't know, there was no way I was going to not do that. And that level of selfishness and coldness, I mean, that's what it does. That's what it does to you. It does to me. That's what it does to me. So about, I don't know, 3 or 4 after I had been home for a while, I met a man and we got engaged, and he was a bit older than me, like 20 years or so, nothing major. And my mom was like horrified, but she was like, it's your life, do what you want. And he also owned a nightclub. And so, and those are the places, those are the things, that's who I wanted to be around. Those are that was the lifestyle. And that's the part I didn't get about the drinking, is the lifestyle that comes with it. It's all of the behavior and um the looks from people who, like, when I would go to work and I'd be hungover, and it would be like, some people just don't want to grow up. People would say things like that, and I'd be like so offended. Like, who do they think they are talking to me like this? And but everyone could see it but me, they could see what I was. I could not see what I was. I didn't know at all that alcohol was an issue at all. I mean, and there were signs. There were signs. I mean, my parents would say, we're sending you to this school because it's out in the sticks and we're worried about your drinking. I mean, I don't know why I couldn't hear that for what it was, but I couldn't hear it. And just down the street from my house where I grew up was a church, and it was the church I was baptized in, and the church I used to go to as a child. And they had an AA meeting out there. And I remember at like 21, 22, driving by there thinking, I would see them come out of their thing, and they'd be like smoking their cigarettes after the meeting. And I would drive by being like, I am never going there. Like, why would I say that to myself? Why would I say that to myself? What? It's like the level of delusion and deception going on inside of me was so majestic. It was like, this is the reality, but this is the reality. And I knew it here, but I didn't know it here. It was just, it's bizarre how I can lie to myself and not know that I'm lying to myself. Anyway, I got rid of that guy because he liked my friend better. And again, the lifestyle, he just like went off with my friend, and that was that. And thought I was heartbroken and whatever. I wasn't. And then I dated some more or whatever. And then I met my first husband, and I saw him across the room, and I was like, that's the one. And he couldn't have been more Al-Anon if he tried, like he was just like, if you look up a picture of someone at Al-Anon, there he would be. He was just like everything that like he looked at me. It was like, find me the alcoholic. And I looked at him, find me the codependent. And that was it. And that was my first husband, who was such a jerk. If you'd asked me, he ruined my life. He trapped me. He got me pregnant. He was a jerk. He was selfish. He was all of these things. And I came and went 3 times, and I left and I came back and left and came back. And I had these 2 little children throughout that time, and a little girl, a little boy, and a little girl, and they were 2 years apart. And by the time she was 2, I was out of the house for the third time, trying to find myself. I mean, at this time, I was probably 27, 28, and it was like somebody had just like picked me up out of my teen life and dropped me in a family and been like, now this is, you just do this, just do this. like all the stuff in the middle was like a blur. And in nothing like anything like life lessons and growing up or maturity or coming to into my womanhood or whatever. None of that happened. I was drunk. I was drunk or trying to get drunk or trying to get over being drunk for that entire time. So I was like 15 trying to like run a household and be married to this guy who was like he was older than me but not a lot, like maybe 6 9 years or something. And he was a lawyer and he had a career and he, you know, had political aspirations. Like, why did he pick me? I mean, I have no idea. But he had, and he would have these people come to the house from the party, the political party, and they'd all be sitting around, and I'd be like cowering in the kitchen with the wine because I don't do crowds, and I was back in that I don't do crowd, I don't do people. I was too good for everybody, or too scared, or too whatever, too sober, too dry, and I made his life miserable, miserable. And I thought it was him. So I said we went to therapy in the last sort of throes of our marriage, and he, the therapist said, well, what do you want to get out of this? And he was like, I want my family to work and I want this to be good. And I was like, I think I like somebody else, and that was the end of that. And he would have he and so I left and he got a new girlfriend, and every time he got a new girlfriend, I was like, nope, and I would go back. And finally, I guess, I don't know, after about 6 years of this torture, um, I don't know. He said something to me off the cuff. I had been out on a bender for 2 days, and I had been really, really sick, and I couldn't. I got to that place where the alcohol didn't work that evening, and I got drunk, and I drank, and I drank, and I drank myself sober, and I was like empty inside, and I felt terrible, but not sick. I felt like spiritually, I guess is what it is in hindsight, very dead inside or sick or whatever. And I couldn't speak at all. I couldn't explain myself to the people I was with. I couldn't communicate what I needed or anything. I was very argumentative. That was about all I could do. Everything I said was wrong. And I was just like, it just was like I was bereft. I don't really have a word for it. I just had this like it was like nothing. There was nothing left. There was nothing going on. So the next day he said something off the cuff, and this is how it's worked in my life. People will say something like a throwaway line, and it'll like stick to me for some reason. And he said, why don't you go see this therapist I told you about? And that was the first time I'd ever heard him say that. I'd never heard him say it before. And so I went to see her, and she 12-stepped me because she was an addictions therapist, and I didn't know that, but he did. And I didn't know that that's what she was doing when she was doing it either. So she talked about drinking. I was like, I mean, I've just laid out my entire life story and you haven't heard a word I said, because clearly this is the problem. And she said something profound and revolutionary to me along the lines of, is your life, do you drink because your life is a mess? Or is your life a mess because you drink? And I was like, I was floored. I was floored. I don't have new ideas. I have the same shit going around in circles all the time. And it's usually it's your fault and somebody save me, and that's what I have going on in my head. I don't have like these like, so she gave me like a new idea and I was like, okay. And it got my attention. It got my attention. She told me to go to AA or some meetings, and I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I won't drink for a while and I'll be okay. And so I did that for about, I don't know, 3 months or something like that. I got to Christmas. It was May, and I got to Christmas, and I was like So um, I think I'm gonna die because I'm like I can't drink, but something's wrong with me, and I started having car accidents. I think I've told this story before um, at the Big Book meeting, but I got into like three car accidents, and two was with the same car in the same like 20 minutes. It was like I drove into the back of a truck, and I was so like out of my head, just like crazy. And I drove into this truck, a big water truck. We have these big water trucks here that deliver water. And it did nothing to his truck because they're made of like, they're like a juggernaut. They're like immovable, huge things. And I hit it. And he got out of the car and he looked at me. He's like, I'm like, sorry, sorry. And he gets back in and I go along and I hit it again. And he gets out and he's like, now, like, what the lady? And I was like, I'm really sorry. I was mortified. And then another guy, I came down whatever one road and got into an accident with a bike that ended me up in court or whatever. And it turned out he had actually, it wasn't me in that instance, but I was attracting this kind of chaos, and it was chaotic at work, and I couldn't make time. I kept oversleeping. I was really scaring myself. I was like, I'm crazy because I can't make anything work. I can't remember to pick the kids up. I only had my kids by that time. I had them 2 days every week. Like I can't remember to get the kids. I'm not on a schedule. I don't know where my keys are. Every day I'm losing things. And I finally just had a meltdown, and I called somebody in AA and I said, I need to go to a meeting. And so I went to a meeting because basically, I guess in hindsight, I knew I was powerless over alcohol, but I didn't understand that my life was unmanageable, and I didn't get that, and I had to live it. And that's just been my whole experience in AA is experiential. I have to go through it in order to get it. And I went through this unmanageable period of my life where I thought I was going to kill myself by accident. I was like almost afraid to leave the house. I was like the fear in me was like I could taste it. I was so fearful of everything. And so I was at work and I saw like I had like all this work everywhere all over my desk, and this the second part of the first step came like kind of lightly drifting through my mind like a little God shot, or a big God shot really. And it was, your life is unmanageable. And I thought, well, if it's the drinking, I'll just stop and everything will be fine. But I didn't understand alcoholism. Alcoholism is in the mind, and I didn't understand it was my mind. I didn't get that. But then I got that, and I had to go through that to get to that point where I was like, okay, so powerless over alcohol, my life is unmanageable. That's the first step. I relate to this. Like I really relate to this. Maybe I maybe I couldn't even maybe I belong there. Maybe I am an alcoholic. Like maybe I am. Maybe that. So I went to this meeting, and it was like 30 people, which is massive for Bermuda, and like 10 of them I knew. Like two of them were friends of my brothers. They were like, Rebecca? And I was like, I haven't seen you in like 2 decades. And he's like, yeah, I've been here. And, and I just, they were laughing. They were laughing a lot, like big, raucous belly laughing, like, ha, 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 at like awful things, like awful things. And I was like, am I horrified? I'm intrigued. They're a little bit dark. These people are dark, but I like it because they're happy. And it doesn't seem that bad when I'm here. And I just came to meetings after I was hooked instantly because I felt so bad. And after I left that meeting, I felt so good. And I'm an addict, if nothing else. And I just want to feel good. So that's what I did. And I went to all these meetings, and I went and oh my God, it's 9:41. Okay, let me wrap this up. 8:41. So that's what it was like, and that's what happened. I came to know AA. And so in the last 21 years, a lot has happened to a girl. So I did end up getting through my steps. more than once, but I got through my steps the first time. And my first step, step three, obviously, I made the decision. I got on my knees, I did the thing, nothing happened, whatever. So then I did my step four. It was like a victim impact statement. I didn't get that was as far as we usually got. That was me. Everyone else is wrong. I hate them all. The end. And this is I'm a victim. And that was it. And then I had to do another one. We had like 10 years sober. I went crazy again and I had a baby. And a lovely lady from Texas came to our convention. We have a convention every now and then when we can get around to organizing it because we're really bad at that. So we have this convention and she came and she offered to do some inventory. So I did an inventory on particularly like relationships. Well, it's all relationships. It's all about relationships, but particularly my ex-husband because he was a real jerk, like the worst kind of jerk, and he just wouldn't cut it out. He just wouldn't stop jerking and being a jerk. And so I did this whole thing with her over the phone. This is over the phone. She's in Texas and I'm here, and I was outside, and she she like did this weird like AA alky math, and she twisted it around and made it seem like he was a really nice guy. And she was like, "Look, you were pregnant, and what if he was a good person and he did the right thing and he married you, and he tried to give you a good life, and he provided for you, and you stayed home with your son and your daughter while they were small babies, and he provided for that. And what about um I don't know, it just went on and on like that. And I was like, enough, okay. But as she was talking, it was like just the wind went through the trees a certain way and the light caught somewhere. And I was just like, what is happening? It was just like this peace and this like awareness and this grace, just like, yes, yes, it's not him at all. It's coming from me. And that was my first experience with step four and step five, the way I believe it is supposed to happen. and and then six and seven. Seven, I like to read seven out. This prayer, where is it? I had it saved. I like to read this one out because this took me a long time. Step six is like grow up, and grow up some more. And that was hard for me. And it's, in 20 years you do grow up. And I raised my first two kids and I got remarried and had some more because I guess I like to do that. Patterns. And I just we're flying the plane while we build it. And it's like, some days are like really awesome and some days really suck. But like my suckiest day, I've heard this is so cliche, but it's nowhere near. I mean, the person who I was, I look at that girl now and I'm like, "Oh, poor thing. What a wretched, wretched thing I was." And, anyway, so I was going to read this. My creator, I'm now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect of character, of which I found many, which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Amen. Okay, so recently, when I read this, after going through the steps again, to do your bidding jumped out at me like, when did they put that there? Like, I didn't know. I was like, blah, 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 the character grant me the strength as I go out from here so I can like live my life and run the show the way I like to run it. And everything will work out fine. But then it's to do your bidding. I have a new employer, I have a job. And God gave it to me. I'm doing it right now. That's it. That's it. Everything else is none of my business. And it took me, I mean, maybe when I'm like 40 or sober, I'll be smart. But like it took me almost this long. And in the meantime, since like 10 years sober, when I was like cracking up again, and then it was like 14 years, I have like this big birthday celebration, 15 years, and I've got like all these six women that I'm sponsoring, which it's not a lot, but like for here, it's a lot. They're all around the table. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're so wonderful." And then I like go away and I'm like losing my mind because I'm like performing AA in a way. Like I can't really share at meetings how I really feel because I'm actually quite miserable and I'm actually not having a great time. And AA doesn't actually work for me, but it'll work for you because it works in the beginning. But the more sober you get, the less it works. And I can see why people go out again at 20 years. I can see why people, I mean, I have friends who aren't here anymore because they go out again or they just take their own lives or they live lives of quiet desperation. And I was getting to that point, and that's when COVID came along, and I was and Zoom, and then I was able to come out of Bermuda, and I'm not knocking Bermuda. I would never disrupt the unity because Bermuda saved, like Bermuda AA has saved me and given me a life. It's given me a life, and COVID and Zoom have have taken my program and all the work that I've done that was by rote and work thinking I'm doing it. I just do this step better. I just get this sponsor. I just do this just better, better. Then I'll finally be fixed and I'll be okay. It took all of that work, not that conclusion, and it brought me to a place where the program is actually different and it's not about that. It's about a relationship with God. And that's the part that I missed for a really long time because I handed over the drinking. I really got that in the step one. I really got that. But I didn't hand over anything else. Like not one thing. And I not only didn't do it, I didn't know I had to do it. And it wasn't until I started hearing people talk about alcoholism and what that meant, and it just I kind of got submerged into some good people in Florida, and I've slowly worked my way across your lovely country to maybe you're Canada. I don't actually know that, but some Canada, some Toronto, um, definitely Texas, some Midwestern stuff in there, definitely some California. And there's just like, there is so much good stuff in AA out here in Zoomland. And it saved my life because I needed, it needed to be saved. I was running the show and I don't want to run the show. And I keep trying to run the show and I shouldn't run the show. No. And having this relationship now with God, I went to like Jesus for a while. I was really into Jesus. I Christian. I found a prayer group and I got to know the Bible some more. That was very useful. That was very helpful. And I also David started sending me these SIG and I got on that email and I got all of your lovely things and I heard a few people on here, amazing speakers, and I just remember thinking there is religion and church, and that's wonderful. And there's also something else, and I just can't quite put my finger on what it is, but there's another level. And so that's where I try to be today. And that level isn't about Rebecca, ironically. That level is about it's about it's about very things up here, but stay grounded down here. Like stay down here with the people, but it's like your thinking is different. It's like now I'm doing your bidding. Just that was a game changer because it changes the whole program. It changes everything. It's not it's not for me at all. It's for you, and it's for the people around me and it's for the people closest to me because they're the ones I really hurt the most if I'm not sober and happy, joyous, and free. Those are the people that get the cut ass. Like no one else cares because nobody else is loving me like they are. And I've made some mistakes in sobriety before I kind of had this kind of information and feeling. And the other thing that I really missed was myself. This forgiveness stuff, and this is all over these readings that I see in the morning now, is this forgiveness, acceptance of self. And there's a lot I've had a hard time with myself the whole time. Like I just haven't been able to accept myself. I always feel like I'm doing it wrong. And that's like plagued me for a while. But I prayed on it a lot. And I prayed and I asked God, please change me. Can you please change my heart? Show me what to do. And I've said that these words a lot and I've prayed on it a lot. And the answer came in all of these readings that are, you can't love anyone if you don't love yourself, or try to accept yourself before you try to accept other people. Or what was the other thing? All along the lines of cleaning your side of the street, but it's the loving side of it for myself, because for whatever reason, I haven't been feeling that. And that is, it's very emotional for me because it's something that I feel like you need as a human. You kind of need it to get by in this world. You need to have something going on with yourself, you know, in order to survive. I mean, it's the worldly clamors are loud. They are loud. And I notice them a lot for myself, but I notice them more because I have children sort of coming into middle school age and the world is coming at them. It will not wait a minute. And it's got a lot of information that their mother doesn't want them to know. But I almost drove myself crazy trying to manage that. And I'm like, and God said, or something in my head said, or maybe it was in my heart. It's like, that's like trying to bail the ocean out with a spoon or something along those. It's very futile. And we have to work on our hearts and the children's hearts. Let's work on their hearts so that they can be protected in this world. So they know themselves. And I can't help them with that until I know that for myself. This is a long time coming. And I'm really, really grateful to the God of my understanding for just keeping me around long enough to learn some of these good things. You know, I don't have the words to explain to God, if I met God, how amazing I think the gift that he's given us, or for me. Like I just don't have the words. It's just it's almost too much. Like who deserves it? Nobody, I guess. But it's just for everyone, you know, it's for everyone. And I just would want that for everyone, even though it took me 21 years to even start to like get on this new kind of way of looking at things. And I'm here to like be helpful and be of maximum service. And it's not for me. It's not for me at all. And stay close to him and perform his work well. And then God does my stuff. Like he does the stuff that I'm like trying to like God does that. I don't do that. I just do this. I don't try to do this. Anyway, try to do this. So I guess I might be done. Um, thank you for letting me share. It's been a real privilege. Hopefully something made sense.